Across the country, demand for the COVID-19 vaccine is dropping.
Vaccination sites from North Carolina to Texas and Ohio to Georgia are closing due to lack of demand.
Especially troubling in a state like Georgia, which ranks 47th in the nation for the percent of people who are fully vaccinated.
There's a famous quote from Field of Dreams that says, if you build it, they will come. This is not true in public health.
Sarah McCool is a public health expert at Georgia State University.
In the beginning, as we saw in a lot of states, there were issues with distribution. Now, as supply has started to catch up to demand, we've seen other issues that have started to emerge.
Issues like access, which McCool says remains a key driver. But there's another concern.
We've seen vaccine hesitancy stay fairly high among rural populations, among white evangelicals, and among Republicans. So we haven't seen really efforts focused on those populations.
We're just trying to get people convinced to get the vaccines right now.
For the past several months, Dr. Jonathan Poon has been vaccinating residents in small, rural Elbert County, Georgia. It's a Republican stronghold, and while we don't know the county of residence for every person getting shots, CDC data shows only 8% of the population has been fully vaccinated. Data from the state of Georgia doesn't match, showing 23% vaccinated. Either way, it's well below the national average.
When the infection rate was very high, I think there was a big sense of urgency among the community to go ahead and get vaccinated right away.
At that time, Georgia health officials shut down Poon's vaccination clinic, the busiest in the county, because staffers had started vaccinating teachers who officials said weren't yet eligible.
It was a shock, but then a lot of anger because we knew that immediately everything that we had tried to do up until now to vaccinate our county was just laid to waste.
Now, with infections down and the state among the first to fully reopen, Poon says that's changed.
I think that people are seeing that maybe it's not as important because they were able to get through unscathed. And so now trying to get them back into the clinic to start vaccinating has been a lot harder job to get to convince them of.
New data shows 26% of white evangelicals and at least 41% of Republicans say they won't get the vaccine.
Georgia, as a state, has one of the highest percentage of its population of any state in the country that is self-identified evangelical. So it's a little bit of a perfect storm. It's demographically heavily minority, heavily evangelical, and heavily young people all at once. And each of those communities, for their own distinct historical and demographic reasons, is a late adopter to a vaccine. And that's been a challenge in a state like Georgia.
Ralph Reed, founder of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, a conservative political group, says he hears issues ranging from fears over privacy to worries about bolstering big pharma, among other concerns.
I think what people have got to understand, particularly in the faith community, is that the pandemic is evil. It's taking life. It's destroying people's businesses. It's killing people. And anything that is saving life is of God. That's not of the devil, that's of God.
But when it comes to reaching these hesitant communities, Reed says change starts at the top.
I think the Biden administration needs to put greater emphasis on outreach to the faith community, including conservative and white evangelicals.
Outreach, like public service announcements featuring prominent conservative leaders, and setting up vaccine sites at evangelical churches. Last week, the Biden administration announced new vaccine campaign partners, including NASCAR and the National Association of Evangelicals.
Do you feel like some of the conversations that happened in conservative media early on around like COVID skepticism?
I'm actually beginning to have doubts. I've been telling my friends I'm going to get the vaccine. Half of them agree and the other half think I'm absolutely nuts.
It is possible, in fact, that this vaccine is more dangerous than they're indicating it is.
Do you think that is sort of impacting the way people are viewing the importance of getting vaccinated?
I don't think so. This isn't made up, but this is one of the worst public health crises that we've seen in modern human history, and we need to encourage people to get the vaccine.
If Georgia continues to lag behind the rest of the country, it may impact how the pandemic ends.
As long as people are geographically mobile, if one state has a high vaccination rate and another state has a low vaccination rate, it doesn't really matter because disease is going to move.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.